we expect to have our guest speakers, that is Engineer Paul Isaac Musasizi, and that is the CEO of Kiira Motors Corporation, and also expect to oh, I'm so sorry for that. Yeah, we expect to have Engineer Serwadda, that is the head of capital projects to Umeme. We expect all those people here. Those are people that are really outstanding, people that have reputable positions, people that have really made it in life, that we want to have today, that will share with us their experience and how they got there. Okay. As I can see, a lot of people are joining in right now at the last minute. If you're just joining in, you could text, you could type in the chat and tell us where you're joining from. Just type hello and where you're joining from, so that we can all move together and be on board for this meeting. I can see very many people are joining in right here. That is great. Those are just getting in. You can just type hello and where you're joining in from. We'll be glad to have you. At this juncture, allow me to invite a volunteer to lead us in a prayer so that we can be guided as we go through and take on this event. Anyone could just raise an arm. Anyone from the audience could raise an arm. You could just read out your name so that you can lead us in a prayer. Any volunteer, please? Yes, Maureen. Thank you so much, Maureen.
Right, thank you. Let's stand ourselves for the prayer wherever we are. My name is Tumekwa Maureen, the Vice President of Makerere Engineering Society. Lord loving Father, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for this day. We thank you for everyone who has made it to this time. We thank you for our speakers. We thank you for everyone who is in for this meeting. Lord Jesus Christ, we call upon you to come and be with us. Guide us in that everything we listen to, everything that is going to be presented to us, it will be of great importance for that greater technology change in our world. We have prayed all this through Christ our Lord.
Amen. Thank you so much, Maureen, for that prayer. I believe we are going to have a smooth run as we proceed with this session. I will plan to make this session extremely interactive, in that at some point we shall be getting some opinion from you guys out there in the audience. We plan to use the chats effectively. However, if you want to say anything or communicate, shall be checking the chats and sharing what we have to say, maybe just out of the chats. Thank you so much. Just to checking the audio and the visual. I'd like to ask a simple question. What kind of shirt am I wearing? You can just type in the text just to keep ourselves on the same page. Trying to check the audio and the visual. Some feedback in the chats. Okay, yes, from the chat we can see there is Kaizi. Kaizi is joining in from Kampala. We are happy to have you, Kaizi. We're happy to have Kaizi. You can see. Okay. I'm also seeing Deborah joining in from Luero. There is Jacqueline from Rwanda. Yeah, this is all cutting across. Okay. It's cutting across. All right, moving on. I would like to take this opportunity. I'm seeing someone started typing light blue. That is okay. So I would like to take this opportunity to first of all invite our president, my co-host, to in a special way start off this event and invite Dean School of Engineering to take us through the first session of our according to our agenda. Yes, back to you, Edmund.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Derek. Let me just share screen and usher us just into the day's activities. Just to... All right, so I'm just going to share a screen and usher us straight into today's program. I believe you can all see my screen just clearly. You can put maybe a thumbs up or something in the chat. And well, this is day 2, and as we earlier planned, we're going to be having keynotes coming in from 2 engineers from the field today. And one of the engineers is actually both of them are logged in the meeting. We're going to be having Engineer Prof. Musasizi, who is the Chief Executive Officer for Kiira Motors, taking us through the day, alongside Engineer Serwadda Isaac, and they're both going to be sharing their experience in regards to how we can best position ourselves for the engineering job market. And just a recap of what happened yesterday. One, we had the principal officially opening these webinars that were actually running for 2 days. Yesterday was the first day, today is the second day. We had the engineer Irene Kwagwa, the acting executive director for UCC, presenting in regards to the impact of the fourth industrial revolution and things to do with technology. And we also had engineer Ben Chamber, who was presenting in regards to how we can be able to better brand ourselves as aspiring engineers. And today we are continuing with quite the same drive. And as we had stipulated, we're going to be having the engineers presenting. Unfortunately, engineer Dr. Dorothy Awadin has just got an emergency today morning, so she won't be able to make it, but she sends her regards and her sincere appreciation towards the engineers who are going to be sharing their views and basically mentoring us today. And within the course of this program, they're going to be basically sharing in regards to our general theme, which is to do with positioning yourself for the engineering job market, as you have been seeing. So the core aspects we actually intend to tackle during the course of today look into basically how you can be able to build your brand as an engineer before graduation. Basically every year, thousands and thousands of people graduate, and specifically for our field, we need to also be able to get different insights concerning things that we need to look at in order to ably compete in the job market. And it being the time of the pandemic, we've been seeing quite a lot happening within the job environment. And our whole course today is to basically get into the detail of how we can better prepare ourselves. So at this juncture, I'm going to invite our very first speaker for the day, who is going to be sharing his experience and taking us through vital aspects concerning how we can actually be able to brand ourselves for the engineering job market. And our first speaker for today is Engineer Prof. Isaac, who is an engineer with vast experience in systems engineering, as you can see from the screen. He has been able to work in quite a number of technology interventions in Uganda. He's an elite member of the International Society of Automotive Engineers, which is SAE International. And he also has done outstanding work and interventions within one Kiira Motors project, which he heads as Chief Executive Officer, alongside programs and innovations that have done quite a lot of work with the Uganda Police force crime records management system, internet laboratories at Makerere University, academic records management systems. He's someone who has quite a lot of experience, and he also, by the way, graduated from Makerere University with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, moving on to even do a master's in mechanical engineering. And he has also carried out quite a lot within the field of radical innovations from actually MIT, which is in USA, alongside pursuing different certificates and actually adding on onto the competence that he has. He also holds a certificate in managing engineering and technical professions by the same group I told you of, the International Society of Automotive Engineers. Engineer Paul Isaac is a Chief Executive Officer of Kiira Motors Corporation, and he has a firm record as an entrepreneur. He's also one of the founding directors of ARMS Technologies Limited, which is a reputable innovation system engineering company, where he also serves as a principal systems analyst. Paul has also taught at Makerere University before, and he was also a lecturer before at Makerere University. And then he was posted within the Department of Electrical and Computing, and has also been in the key development of the curriculum for several engineering programs at several universities in Uganda. And as earlier said, he was also a graduate from Makerere University. So he's going to be sharing also quite a lot from his experience back then and how we actually got to reach the position of CEO, so that we can be able to pick inspiration and be able to learn from it. Engineer Paul Isaac is also a member of he's also part of the 5 members of the Uganda, actually of UAE Investments Committee, which was instituted by the President, His Excellency Kaguta Museveni. He was also a key member of Government of Uganda Technical Task Commitment for the establishment of a plant for the manufacture of actually buses and trucks in Uganda. So at this juncture, Engineer Paul Isaac would like to invite you to take the floor and basically give us your presentation as we learn from this. Yes, Engineer Paul Isaac.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, for a humbling introduction, but most importantly for inviting me this morning to share some thoughts and reflections, and I'm hoping that they will be fairly meaningful to the team of some of the smartest, most intelligent, and most promising people in your generation, working hopefully towards a career in engineering in diverse aspects. You've mentioned several things about me, and I've been fairly introduced. Makerere University is very dear to me. That's where I spent over 7 years as a student, 4 years pursuing a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and 3 years pursuing a master's in mechanical engineering as well. And I taught at Makerere for some time between 2004 and 2016, when I left the university officially to focus on mission vehicles made in Uganda. Just for clarity, I am not authorized to use the title engineer, as that is reserved for registered members of the Uganda Institute of Professional Engineers, registered by the Engineers Registration Board. Something I still have to work on, and I'm hoping that at one point I will be able to close in that to complete my brand as a professional in engineering practice, something I continue doing. The theme for the day is around building your brand before graduation. I thought that perhaps we may improve that so that we look at it as a rolling target, because brand identity is a living phenomenon. Your brand today is equally as important as your brand tomorrow. So you keep on working towards it, and it's never too late to start. It is too good and quite important to start right away. You may have joined engineering school and a particular track of engineering education, either electrical, computer, civil, mechanical, chemical. There is a biomedical now, I understand, telecom, and this continues to be stratified. Maybe because it was the next thing you went to school, you passed mathematics and a few other subjects very well. You got the grades, and you rocketed into engineering school as a mark of excellence. That's what you do when you pass mathematics very well. You go to engineering school. Engineering school every year opens its doors to the finest mathematicians in every generation, specifically at Makerere University. And they come to handle a cocktail of things. And every year, engineering school ushers to the field some of the finest early career professionals in the field of engineering to go out and hopefully practice engineering, centered around harnessing the resources of nature, leveraging knowledge gained either through education, practice, experience for the betterment of mankind. And indeed, when you look at the slide before you, you see some faces you know them because they have a reputation as experts in a particular craft, in a particular trade. As you move from Beyonce, the arts industry, an actor, a musician, or to Professor Ogwang Patrick, one of our northern stars for the season. These people are known for a trade. These people are known for being very good at something. And as we reflect on how to build your brand, one of the things we want to know is that in every generation, a few stars shine brighter than the rest. And there is a consistent set of tools and processes that these northern stars always follow, irrespective of the practice, and apply to get to that point. It is also interesting to note that professional visibility could perhaps be looked at several levels. We have the corporate level. Corporate level is, where you are in your firm, in your class. Then we have the community level, in your community. National, industry. The industry could know you as the go-to person for something. And some people, like those we have seen above, most of them are actually known for being experts in a particular aspect globally. Everyone knows across industries that they are the good people. I thought I would share with you some of the essential building blocks towards professional visibility. Irrespective of where you are, it's important for you to commit to being an expert. It's instructive that you put strong emphasis on self-education and improving tradable skills. Self-education in class, in engineering school, you're being taught so many things. A very good example, almost across engineering, all of you have been introduced to coding and programming. And today, very many engineers find themselves somewhere somewhat involved in programming, but the school, the traditional curricula does not push you to that level where you can be identified as a good developer. So this is something you have to identify and work on if your interest is there. If your interest is in building things, you have to develop that. Over and above the trade, the craft, soft skills are also important to be worked on intentionally. You need to intentionally work on your critical thinking skills, problem solving skills. Public speaking is important. Professional writing, how do you write professionally? Teamwork, digital literacy, leadership, your attitude in the professional environment, an attitude which attracts people, work ethics, career management, and intercultural fluency. There are some of us who will not avoid speaking their language, irrespective of where they are. You have to talk in your mother tongue. And as you keep on doing that, sometimes you put people off because you're communicating to be understood and you're insisting on using something which does not communicate anyway. It's imperative to note that in committing to be an expert, professionals who attain high visibility in the marketplace have a reputation for expertise. There is something you look for. When you talk about Dr. Ogwang, it's because he is very good at making these herbal medicines like Covidex, which people need. So you need to be good at something, my brothers and sisters. I need to commit to that something. You also need to set clear and smart goals for your visibility brand. What do you want to achieve, when, how, what resources do you need? These goals must be clear and ambiguous. They should be realistic. They should be something that you can achieve. You should know what point you're starting or what point you end, and they should relate to your vision in life and allow you to measure results. You know, if you're a student right now and you're working towards a degree, you should have some clear goals on how you want to get there and what is it you want to be. Mechanical engineering is so wide. Electrical engineering is so wide. How are you going to measure your goals? How are you going to know that you have achieved some results in there, in line with building the reputation of an expert? And this starts now. You don't need to first graduate to set your goals very clear, to also know whether when you finish school, you will do some work or you will go to graduate school, what you're going to do. You have to think through. You have to have an annual plan. You have to have a personal development plan for a year, a personal development plan for 5 years, and also you need to think. So you think in the short term, 1 year, you think in the medium term, 5 years. You also think in the long term, 10 years, so that you keep on checking what has worked, what hasn't, while allowing yourself the flexibility to respond to the forces around you in the marketplace. You need to know that you do not have to be smarter than everyone. And actually, you need to know that you're not. There are so many smart people out there. And many of them are actually not even visible or successful at anything. What stands out is just don't give up. You wake up, you start something, and without reason, you throw it out, and you know, it's good to know when to give up, and it should be very well informed, but just don't wake up and give up. Find a niche, find a target market, distinguish yourself, stand out of the crowd. People need to know that when we are looking for someone who's good at this, it could be as simple as knowing how to use Microsoft Word. It could be as simple as using Microsoft PowerPoint or using spreadsheet applications. People need to be, you need to be able to have that skill which people need and they can come to you. You need to be the go-to person for something that is tradable, that someone can pay for. And once you've stood out, work real hard. Your brand is not going to come on a silver platter. You need to put in the 10,000 hours. You need to go at it. You need to give it the time. You need to be dedicating 80% of your effort towards your brand and the 20% to the other important aspects that make you wholesome. If you're an engineer and you want to be a practicing engineer and you also love dancing, 80% of your effort should be towards engineering. And within the 20%, you find room for some dance. If you find yourself dancing all the time, maybe your goal is to be a dancer and not an engineer. Refine your communication skills. Communicate for people to understand. You need to build and work on that ability to convey and share ideas and feelings too effectively. Be mindful of the 7 C's. Communication needs to be clear, concise. Communication needs to be clear, very clear. It should not be subject to interpretation. It should be concise. It should be concrete. So many people throw around things which are not right. It should be correct, it should be coherent, it should be complete. And always remember to be courteous. Sometimes we become so arrogant, especially those of us from the engineering background, particularly because we come from a place where we are seen to be the best at so many things. So it becomes almost an entitlement. We are engineers. You think you've come in, you're an engineer. The world has to pay attention to you. The world has to bow down because you've arrived. Everyone is important, even those ones who you may think know nothing. You may learn actually a lot from them. In any case, what you do is for the benefit of humankind. So you want that most lowly person to understand and to follow you. And perhaps if they can pay for your service, pay. So be courteous always. Be humble. You will go very far. The humble shall be uplifted. Become a teacher. Becoming a teacher, I'm not necessarily meaning go and teach, but I'm talking about the ability to make complicated subjects understandable and reassuring clients that their problems will be resolved. As you engage, how do you How does someone have the confidence that you make a concerted effort to give them the confidence that their problem is going to be resolved? It may take a time, and break it down. Sometimes engineers tend to speak to themselves. You come up with all of these complicated things and you feel they are, stylish. People may not care so much about your intricate mathematics around legendary polynomials and all of that stuff you've studied. What they have is a problem in the simplest form and they want a solution. So however much complicated engineering technology you're bringing on board, help them understand the subject very easily and help them appreciate why they should actually do everything to pay for the service you're offering. But take an extra mile to motivate and inspire others. It's amazing that when you stand to motivate and inspire others, you also hold yourself to a higher standard of accountability, and inadvertently you become better and better and better at not only motivating and inspiring others, but also doing what you do well. Lastly but not least, get the help you need. No one has everything. But in getting help, there was a time when a professor at a top engineering school did an observatory study on getting help. And he wanted to see what happens when a male student approaches a male student for help versus when a female student approaches a male student for help. And it so happened that when a male student consistently came for help, the other male student offering the help will just, oh, you can read up here, you can check it out here, there is this online resource, go and figure it out. It was always the same. When on the other hand, the female student came, the male student did all the work for the female student. So the female student just had to say, I need help. That approach of helping where you do not get to actually do anything and learn anything is not good. So demonstrate that you've tried. Collaboration is key. Be specific on what help you need. Stay engaged. Don't come and run and then come back only when you need help. Build a relationship that provides a continuous flow of help. You need to know that most people enjoy being helped. Perhaps that's why in Africa, in our homes, we have helpers. All the time we enjoy being helped on petty things. So how about on very serious technical issues? Ask privately, praise publicly. When you get good help, you acknowledge it. But also it's important to give help to get help. If you're the kind of person who doesn't give help at all, when the time comes when you need help, it may be difficult. I recall when I was in high school, most of those who were always considered to be smarter than others sometimes thought they should even hide textbooks from others, so that they can get more marks and be better. That is primitive and it may not go very far. I know for sure that especially in our practice, when you solve a lot of mathematical problems, you get better. So you give help and inadvertently, you also get helped. Now, there was a study which was done by Hinge and Hinge Research Institute in 2014 on what convinces clients that someone is a visible expert. And the results are very interesting. As we see from this study, you see clearly that at top of the chain, recommendation. So who's going to recommend you? People should recommend you because you did something awesome. The visible expert came in highly recommended by friends and colleagues. So ask yourself, my sister and brother, whether friends and colleagues are going to recommend you, and what are they going to recommend you for? Is it in line with your professional aspirations, or it's a sidebar? These professional experts also made complicated subjects seem understandable. You break it down, you make it natural, you make it simple. People get the reassurance that they are in good hands and things will happen. They throw money at you, they trust you, they come at you. You're not going to get money. You're not going to get anything funded when you have no results. I recall as we started working on the Kiira EV, within a year we had the vehicle, and because we had the vehicle, government led by His Excellence said, no, let's build on this. People want to build on something, you know? So a track record of success is important. You have to have been successful at doing something. When you talk to these visible experts, they inspire confidence. They make you feel that, yeah, it's great, it's awesome to be relevant. Visible experts publish articles in prestigious publications. I remember as I taught in engineering school, working with so many undergraduate students, even as early as second year to publish. To get published, this is something that is important. Please, don't graduate without having a publication in an international journal. Find something useful, do it successfully, publish. Visible experts are frequent keynote speakers. You know, they're invited to share their knowledge. Sometimes they get paid for also speaking. This is almost obvious when you see all of these webinars, conferences. The visible experts are always invited to say something, always invited to say something, including in this one. I think I've been invited to say something because some of you feel I'm visible in some aspects. Otherwise, there would be no concern to hearing anything. People always talk about their work. The talk may be positive or negative. It does not necessarily matter, but they talk about their work. Today, when you say Covidex, Professor Ogwang and Covidex are one and the same. So remember, they talk about their work. They don't talk about them. They talk about their work. What have you done that people can talk about? That is relevant. That is moving humanity forward. Visible experts have professional certifications. When Mr. President was going over my CV, he talked about all of these certifications that I've done. Unfortunately, my little brothers and sisters, today we have platforms like Coursera, where you can even get financial aid. Let it be your target every year to do at least 10 certifications in so many things, from financial management, leadership, strategic planning, data analysis using platforms like R, coding with Python. There is just too much out there which is being offered for free and it's relevant. You have no excuse for not having professional certification. And these things will make you stand out, because when jobs are being advertised, and as you graduate, you also have some 20 certifications in some areas, including those ones which were to help you build and improve on your soft skills. You'll definitely rank much more than others in the interview, the oral interview, but also in the assessment of your wholesomeness as a professional. They have prestigious, well-known clients, so that your clients are known. You know, so you need to start working on this, getting in some prestigious people. Even as of now, you should be able to do something which people are interested in. When you do online search for certain things that are required, these visible experts. Now, the question I may pose to you is today, when someone goes to an online search and they type in your name, what are they getting? Are they getting, you know, young adult recklessness, or they're getting something professional? Because depending on how you use these online channels, you will either destroy your brand or you make it. So using your online channel should be carefully considered so that it's building your brand identity and not denting it, so that at a certain time people start finding rather compromising content about you wherever they go online. And colleagues, visible experts wrote a book on a particular topic. Write a book or be part of writing a book. When I was in the university, I really made sure that I was part of that. Even coming out here, writing books is very, very, very important, because it also helps you reflect on your journey. You're not just going to write about Wikipedia content. People want to read about things you've done, but also the reputation online for visibility experts is excellent. So you may want to work on it as an important aspect, even if it ranks way down there, but that is very important. Now, one is wondering, what are those tools and platforms for visible professionals or for professional visibility? Referrals and recommendations, number one. You must work towards someone knowing you who matters, who will refer you, so that when I'm saying I need, many times here, for example, at Kiira Motors Corporation, we call a professor and we say, we want a student in their third year or second year who is good at this. And when we make that call, you should be the first person who comes up to be recommended. That is very important, and it works everywhere in the world. Referrals are number one tools and platforms for visibility. That means develop the right network for you to be visible as a budding expert. Speaking engagements are also important, like this one and others. Work towards speaking. Have something that people would want to hear so that you can participate in speaking engagements. Books. People read books, and some people are known more for their books than anything else. Search engines, when people go searching, do you come up? It may be good for you to have a blog where you share some ideas. And when I look online, some of the names I see there, I see some of you have blogs, which is good. Use those blogs properly, so that as people search, they can find that you're resourceful. Maybe a blog, you can use it to actually put out some of your good writing, so that when we are looking for a good writer, we can find you, or some other thing that you enjoy doing. Social media is important. Use it well. Do not use it for just posting pictures of how you feel, how you've dressed, what you ate. Use it to create your brand. LinkedIn, Wikipedia, YouTube, Instagram, people will find you there. It is equally important to write industry articles. Every day, so many people out there are looking out for information, and some of that information you have. Write, and let them be industry specific, so that people can know that if we are looking for someone who's good at embedded systems, there is this guy who can dissect it all. If it is systems engineering, if it is requirements engineering, whatever it is that really interests you, write articles about it. Always strive to write industry articles, so that you can refine not only your professional writing skills, but also you give a platform for people to examine what you're capable of. If you have the opportunity to be in mass media interviews, TV, radio, and so on, take it up. Take it up very quickly and use it, and look out for those opportunities because they help. Having a personal website or being on a company website is also one way. And content marketing. Content marketing is real about creating and sharing online material, videos, blogs, social media posts, not necessarily for promoting a brand, but to stimulate interest in a product or service. The focus here should be stimulate interest in a product or service. Don't just go there to blabber. Don't go to just talk openly. Go to inspire greatness. It is my hope that I have shared something that can be found meaningful. I thank you for giving me this opportunity to come and interact with you this morning. And I truly wish you the very best as you continue preparing and working towards being an outstanding visible expert in your line of practice. I now hand it back to the moderator in case there are some questions or reactions. I'm happy to have a few minutes of interaction before signing out. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Engineer Paul Isaac Musasizi. We have really learned a lot. Personally, I have learned so much from your speech. You have really guided us so well on how to brand ourselves and be better engineers in the future. I would like to ask others to join me as we appreciate Engineer for what he has just shared to us. So right now, I feel like the speaker has shared a lot of intel in just a very short time, and I believe we all have questions concerning his speech. So yeah, this is the part where we're going to go for Q&A. So if anyone has a question, I would request you to type it in the chat. I will read them out for our speaker. I requested for anyone that has a question, you could maybe put it in the chat so that we can interact with our speaker, because this is a great opportunity to have an engineer of this caliber speak to us. He has totally guided us on very many things. He has given us the skills that we need to attain, to become, to build on our brand. He has given us pointers on how to convince experts that you are a visible expert. He has also given us visibility platforms. He has given us quite a lot. We are so thankful, Engineer Paul. We are so happy to have you today. I request people to post their questions in the chat. Yes, there is one, Engineer, to you, from Gladys Abio. And she thanks you and also asks that she would like you to briefly elaborate a little more on your mechanical journey up to Kiira Motors. Yes, back to you, Engineer.
Okay, thank you, Gladys. In high school, I went, maybe even prior to high school, I started my primary education in Insanji Primary School, where I did baby class, top class, and part of it. And then I went to Mengo Primary School, where I did primary 2. And then I joined Nalinya Rantale Girls School. It was a girls' school, but I joined it where I did my primary living exams, and I joined in Deje, where I studied my O-level and A-level. At A-level, I did physics, chemistry, mathematics, and technical drawing, and joined Makerere University in 1998 October for the mechanical engineering degree. And after that, I took a master's degree in mechanical engineering as well at Makerere University. As a student at the university, I was very keen on doing things. I was lucky to be one of the first people trained in the use of computer-aided engineering and design packages like Solid Edge at the time and Unigraphics, where we were introduced to a wide range of things. I did my industrial training at Spear Motors in my second year, and later on at Gatsby Garage. My final year project, I designed and built a portable wood bandsaw, motors, belts, pulleys, so many things, complete prototype. It was amazing, and I started working at the university. I worked under the mentorship of Dr. Kariko, who was also one of my supervisors during, he was my head of department as an undergraduate student, but he was also my supervisor. And when the opportunity came for us to work on the vehicle design project, I was there first to mentor a group of students, then later on to provide leadership as a project lead when we were building the Kiira EV. And we've worked all the way there, all the way to this point where we moved from an extracurricular activity to now a state enterprise working to build vehicles in this country. We have already put vehicles on the road, and we are working to see that sooner than later, within this year, we will start having these vehicles more open to the public. Some of our vehicles, 3 of our buses are already in use. They have been in market validation in use by Civil Aviation Authority, providing shuttle services between Kampala and Entebbe on a daily. Yeah, so briefly, that has been my journey. But one thing I know is that there has been a lot of work. There has been a lot of self-study. There has been a lot of collaboration at international level. And as I laid out most of these things, they are part of my journey. It's real experience of what I've done. Writing is very important. Someone has asked about industry articles. As you do your work, whether you're designing a system, because you're designing something unique, there are so many publishers who seek papers. You need to be able to look out for publishers looking to publish work, see their guidelines, and be able to write and submit your work. And when it's reviewed and it's accepted, because personally, over the years, I've been either an author or a co-author in over 25 articles that have been published internationally, and that is important. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Engineer. There's another question from Kaja Marvin. He asks, to what extent has the issue of not having an engineering badge affected you? Just back to you, Engineer.
Yeah, being a registered engineer is indeed important, because you can participate in providing more leadership to other engineers, and definitely if you're going to do some level of consultancy requiring these things, you also need that. So this is something that I would really encourage people to really pursue. And pursue early. It's better to start by being a student member right now, so that you build that, because as you go into the field, you become busier and busier and busier, and sitting down to write these things requires time. So certainly, the professional engineering badge is a very important aspect, which I would encourage all those who are seeking to practice engineer to pursue. Of course, earlier I have been a member of several other engineering societies where I've been able to associate professionally with them. But having the one in Uganda is something that is important, and it's something that all of us should work towards. And it's something that I'm also working toward, and I'm hoping that I should be able to get, so that I can also contribute to the wider professional practice as a recognized member of that society. Something I can't do right now, with my colleagues. And I would love to be part of that society with that badge of excellence.
Okay, Tumwekwa Maureen has a question asking, she's asking that in this time of the pandemic, that is very challenging and it's quite impossible to get internship. What is your advice to us students in this session who miss out on hands-on practice?
Yeah, now engineering has become a very interesting thing that, of course, with the pandemic, most of the organizations are cutting down on numbers, so most likely they will not take in students. But self-study is also a lot easier today. So whatever you identify, I think it is very possible for you to get a mentor. And there are so many people who are open to mentoring young engineers, even if they do not have to meet physically. We have all of these online platforms where you can get mentoring. We have a lot of resources online that can help you build some practice, especially in the areas around computer-aided engineering, computer-aided design. And we also have so many open source resources that can be used for that purpose. So I think that there is even a bigger opportunity for someone to enhance self-study and self-styling. In any case, most of the outstanding engineers in our lifetime, people like Euler, people like Bill Gates, people like Mark Zuckerberg, all of them, you know that their engineering prowess was not necessarily a consequence of being trained on something or having experience in something, because the things they did no one had done before. Lord Ford, Tesla, Thomas Edison, all of these were people who, you know, looked at a problem and figured out how to solve it. So what happened then can still happen now. And I would encourage us to use this time when you're not having to run for parties, run for this, run for the other, to really emphasize self-study and niche yourself out to be very good at something, because indeed you can.
Okay. This is a question from Omel John about your corporation. He asks, is it true that the idea of Kiira Motors electric car project was picked from Serwadda students' final project?
That's always a very interesting question of whether the project was a student's final year project or not. What I can say is that the Kiira EV is not a student's final year project. Students have participated in doing this work over time, and there is a lot of history of how we moved from working with MIT, where again we had students and us staff providing supervision, to then moving on to building our own car at the university, and then building more and setting up a plant. It would be misleading to say that Kiira Motors Corporation was a student's idea. It's fallacious and truly misleading. I think there are so many people who have contributed to forming this vision. Some have been students, others have been staff. We have been talking to our leaders. The name Kiira EV was actually coined and given to the project by His Excellency, the President, who hasn't claimed it at any one time. So it's important for us to recognize the wider community that has been working to help us refine to solve the critical problem in our country, where we are spending a lot of money buying cars from abroad, yet we can create opportunities for employment and moving forward here. And it is not fitting, and it is disrespectful for one person to claim that this was their idea. This has been a collective idea of so many people at the university, outside the university, in the international community, that has helped us. And the power of collaboration is always important to getting ideas that stand the test of time.
Oh, thank you so much. There are a lot of questions coming in, but we are going to take only a few, like 3 questions, just for a case of time. Another question to you, engineer. Ismail Cheyune asks, where do you see the demand of engineers in the Uganda manufacturing industry in the next 10 years, given the emergency of firms like Kiira Motors?
Yeah, so when you look at Uganda and engineering, I think looking at our vision and the different development frameworks, and including the current manifesto that government is implementing, what is clear is that Uganda has, as it aspires to be an upper middle income country by 2040, believes that industrialization is really almost the panacea to get us there. Why? Because industrialization is a very good platform for us to leverage our endowment in mineral resources to fuel and enhance local content participation. And in order for us to do that, engineering will continuously play a very big role in linking the problems that require to be solved with the right methodology. And this is across the board, whether it's energy, whether it is road infrastructure, whether it's water, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's communication. We continuously see engineers participate all across the value chain. If you were familiar with the SMILE curve in this value chain, we see the participation of engineers in developing concepts and defining them, in design. When we talk about design, it's real, we are talking about streamlining and being clear on what requirements define the solution better. What are those requirements? Technical, legal, deployment, to mention but a few. And then the engineering itself in terms of, okay, if you have these requirements, what are the specifications to meet that particular requirement? And then going into the issue of manufacturing, assembly, then on the other side, we move into marketing, sales, distribution, which also involve a lot of engineering as you support the product on the line and ensure you collect data, feedback into engineering, design, as well as manufacturing. So it has never been better in the history of our country for someone to really aspire for engineering practice. The most important thing is for you to niche yourself out and see where along that value chain you will participate. Are you going to participate in the R&D area? You have to create a different, you have to develop different expertise for R&D as opposed to someone who's going to be in a design and engineering, testing, analysis. If you're going to be in manufacturing, it's a different set of competences built on the same principles. If you're going to be in the tertiary areas of product support, maintenance, and operation, also it requires different engineering. So the engineering, irrespective of who you are, whether you're civil, electrical, mechanical, telecom, you can participate at any point of this value chain. The important thing is, can you identify your niche, build the necessary competences and expertise, collaborate properly so that you can get there. And very importantly, always remember to be courteous for you to grow.
Okay. We're going to have two last questions. So one is from Paulus OG. He appreciates the time you've given to us. And also the question is that, how great are the design software such as CATIA, CATIA, or SolidWorks in regards to the engineering market? How important are these design software such as CATIA or SolidWorks in regards to the engineering market?
Yeah, so some of these softwares are actually beyond design. They can be used for so many facets of the product lifecycle management. Some of them can be used for conceptualization. Others can be used for requirements engineering. Others can be used for design, which is also around requirements engineering. Others can be used for engineering itself. Others can be used for testing and analysis. So CATIA is one of those very important softwares, and there are so many others. Depending, again, on what you want to do, there are several tools that come along with that trade. So if your interest is in design, you need to know your tools. You need to know the requirements engineering tools relevant for you to define. First of all, elicit, design, define, test, validate requirements, and also specify the requirements very well. Use case analysis, UML, all of those are tools that are used there. When you go to engineering in terms of specifications and analysis, testing, there are tools that are used there. So what are you working on? Are you working in the automotive industry? Are you working in communication engineering? Are you working on roads? Are you working on buildings? Are you working on water systems? Are you working on rail systems? Are you working in aviation? Everywhere you need to know what the tools of the trade are, the most important tools of the trade, and be an expert in using those tools. One of the things I use not to entertain when I supervise students, when you're doing final year projects, you have to do a project plan. And students want to draw the project plan in Microsoft Word, and you're like, but don't you know that there are tools like Microsoft Project, which you can use to draw a plan, maintain it, and also optimize it with clarity, timelines, resources, critical path analysis. So whatever you want to do, you need to know it. And you also need to know the industry-grade tools that are important for you to deliver outstanding work. Because people will come to you because you stand out. If you don't stand out, people will not come.
Thank you so much, Engineer. Then this last question comes from those that are live streaming from YouTube. That is Moish J. He asks, is there space for self-taught engineers in certain areas like embedded systems or PLC at Kiira Motors?
Yeah, certainly Kiira Motors Corporation thrives on going over and above what you've learned in school, because when I look at over the years, people we've worked with, people we continue working with, these people were not taught how to build the control architecture for an acceleration, for an accelerator pedal, neither the control architecture for the electronic control unit that runs the propulsion motor or the lights or whatever. So most of these things actually, they have been self-taught. Bottom line is it's important for you to have the foundational qualifications. Those are key. But what is going to keep you in the game is not the foundational qualifications. It's going to be the skills you've actually built, because what we do is not taught in engineering school here in Uganda, but the principles are taught. But the practice is not necessarily taught. We are working to see how we can integrate more and more of this. But what is going to be very, very, very important is for you to get that industrial attachment, that self-taught, that mentoring, that ensures that you have the right skill, you know how to use the right tool, and that one at Kiira Motors Corporation. Every year, we host students for a given period of time to mentor them, and we usually have a very good experience with some of these students who eventually even become employees. In any case, as Kiira Motors Corporation, the foundation staff of Kiira Motors Corporation were staff and students of Makerere University. When you come here today, you'll find the now director of production. He was a staff at the university. Myself, I was a staff at the university when the project started. Director marketing and sales was a student at the university. The director of product development, and so many other people. And most of the things they do, they have taught themselves, but they have also been keen to seek some formalized and structured training through international internships, online resources and training, and also formal education to be fit for purpose and to be able to address the need for addressing the role that they play.
Thank you so much, Engineer. Just to save time, I'm seeing the very many questions coming in. So we shall document all these questions and forward them to engineer. I hope he will forward to us a document that answers all your questions. So I want to hand over to my co-host to invite our next speaker. Yes, to you, Edmund.
All right, thank you. First and foremost, I would like to appreciate Professor Musasizi for really the time he has spared off to come in and share from his experience and give us his insights on how we can prepare ourselves for the job market outside university, because these are things that usually we tend maybe not to listen to, we tend not to able hearing early during university, but then with the words he has shared in, I believe many of us have acquired quite a lot of inspiration concerning his journey, and also information concerning vital aspects, things we need to look into, acquiring soft skills, things to do with self-learning, things to do with actually what employers look at as visibility for you as a person coming in for a job. Yeah. So I'd like to thank Professor Musasizi. We really thank you and appreciate. We know being a CEO, there's really quite a lot of work, but then the time you have spent of just coming and really inspire and guide us in this line. So at this juncture, as I call up my second speaker, I'm just going to call up one of us on the Zoom who is going to do a very brief poem presentation, more of an icebreaker, then we're going to our next speaker. Kahaika Davidson, are you on the call? Yes, Kahaika
Yes,
Davidson. Great. So this is more of a poem presentation we thought of to come in as more of an icebreaker, and then we head to the second segment. We're going to be having Engineer Serwadda Isaac. So Kahaika Davidson, can you present your poem?
This poem is entitled Nze Gye Nakulira. Nze Gye Nakulira back then in the early 2000s. Whenever electricity went and came back, the entire Bombo Barracks community would celebrate and ululate in Elysian happiness. Voices at their peak. We made kelele like those that had never gone to Makerere. Surely, there was something magical about this Umeme. Nze Gye Nakulira back then in the early 2000s, whenever electricity went and came back, the entire community would celebrate and ululate in Elysian happiness. This electricity was a she. Without her, the village went silent. The atmosphere felt ancient, nights scary like a corona patient. But with her around, oh, my Teletubbies were on point. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Arnold Schwarzenegger movies were my daily bread and butter. Nze Gye Nakulira back then in the early 2000s. Whenever electricity went and came back, the entire community would celebrate and ululate in Elysian happiness. At the age of 10, all I could see were gigantic men. All I could see were gigantic men in huge boots climbing a few meters above sea level from the ground, fixing a few wires here and there. All I saw was a huge metallic box everyone was calling a transformer. Whenever our sweetheart, the electricity took longer to come back, all they told me was that it had gone to Ginger to see her mother. She was sick, but she will come back soon. All this confusion of how come the other people have electricity and us we do not have, coupled with a process by process explanation of, you see, we are not on the same line with those. And I kept wondering, how come their Umeme didn't go to Ginger to check on their sick mother, because I was naive. Nze Gye Nakulira back then in 2000s, whenever electricity went and came back, we danced to the bones and break danced like Michael Jackson. When I reached college, this is the time I got to realize that actually there was currents, electrons, electrostatics, magnetism, Fleming's right-hand rule, Ohm's law, and the like, to have this interesting, beautiful lady Umeme. After choosing a physics and a few mathematics courses here and there, studying all about this transformer, step up and step down, the law of gravitation, circular motion, and the Kirchhoff's laws. This is when I realized that becoming an engineer, and an electrical engineer in particular, is the closest through path to this beautiful slave queen Umeme. And the day I offered this course in this is the day I greatly understood this electricity business, process by process, and that I had been for so long naive. Thank you.
Whoa, wow, that was Kahika Davison for us. Wow, thank you very much. That's Kahika Davison. He's a poet, he's a public speaker, and he was the one gracing our icebreaker for the day. There were quite a lot of comments coming in via the chat, emojis, and really want to thank you, Kahika. He's actually also a student at College of Engineering, and we're really happy and I'm glad. You know, these are the talents that we have instead that we choose to also unfold. So that right there just ushered us right into our next session. We're going to be having Engineer Serwadda Isaac, best of all from Umeme, as our dear poet has even stated. And Engineer Isaac is a registered and licensed engineer from within the electrical background and a member of the Ghana Institute of Professional Engineers. As you can see, he holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Makerere University, alongside various certifications in project management fields, as well as engineering fields. He has been in the power sector for close to 16 years with vast practical experience ranging from power generation, power plant designs and commissioning, operation management, project implementation. He also attended quite a number of management and leadership trainings, including asset management certification. Also, he was part of the CEO apprenticeship program, which is run with Strathmore Business School. And this is a program that takes on part of the top management and CEOs, and they go through a whole series of mentorship and training as a group of CEOs and top management for multinational companies. Prior to joining Umeme in 2007, he worked with Umeme Limited, and there he was actually the high voltage and low voltage system engineer, and later on as the project coordinator in charge of the restoration and refurbishment project of the Owen Falls Dam from 2003 to 2006. While at Umeme, he has also worked at quite a number of projects within this line, and today he's going to be sharing his experience and really giving us insights and tips on how we can be able to position ourselves for the engineering job market, basing from how he actually did it to reach the level where he is right now with the wealth of experience. So at this point, I'd like to invite you, Engineer Serwadda Isaac, to officially take us through your session, sir. Yes, sir. Engineer Isaac.
Thank you, Edmund. I would like to take this opportunity. Am I clear?
Yes, Engineer, we can hear you.
Yes, you are.
Good. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Makerere Engineering Society for having invited me to share what I've gone through, to share what I didn't go through, that I missed out while at university, and to see the collaboration we can have even after this call with the participants and your colleagues who haven't made it to this call. In the meantime, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the principal, that is Professor Henry Alinaitre, who spoke yesterday. I would like to recognize Engineer Dr. Dorothy, who is not in this meeting, but is a close friend of mine. I would like to appreciate the previous presenter, that is Paul Musasizi, Professor. What I'm seeing unique here is today is the day for Isaacs. Musasizi is my OB from Mundeje. So I'm seeing a good product here. I would also like to recognize the MES president, Edmund. Thank you so much for this invitation. I mentor Edmund and he's a personal friend as well as a colleague and an OB somewhere. So let me share my screen. And I have the rights.
Yes, please. I have made you the co-hosts, and you can proceed to share. So.
Apologies, Edmund. It's not coming through. Let me share it to you, then you can control it from there.
Okay, all right, perfectly fine.
Okay, Edmund, you got it?
Just check my email. Sent it by email?
Yeah, Gmail.
Okay, all right. Let me just get it for you. Thank you. Yes, I've gotten it. Let me just share screen. Right.
Good, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Edmund. Let's go to the next. Yes, sorry for the hiccup. From the previous presenters, I think they took you through what personal branding is all about. In other words, it's more of what is that unique combination of skills and experiences that make you who you are. And that drives you into how do you interact with the people around you. They talked about the vision, authenticity, personality, the value, commitment, and what differentiates you. So I'll just dive into that, but more into the practical side. I'll tell you about my journey at the end, but for those that I've interacted with, I'm a practical engineer. I'm less into what you would call the theory. I go with the theory and I try to demonstrate it. So my talk will be more of how do we get from here, given that for the 3 presentations, we've had all the theory. How do we get from here into the world? Let's go to the next. Isaac talked about what is on the platform. Guys, let me tell you, I've interviewed engineers wherever I've been in the sector. And one thing that comes up is before you enter that room, we actually check your LinkedIn, we Google your name, and we see what pops up. And that's how we get to know who are you. So the things that you post, you become too political, you align yourself to different ideas and ideologies, might affect your future, thinking that you were in school. There are those guys who used to spearhead riots in Makerere. All your names are Googled. And nowadays, they even check the face to say, are you sure it's this one? So by the time you enter that room with your first class, you don't have a job. So the reason as to why I plucked this here is first impression before the world comes in with what you share. And are you consistent with the content of what you're sharing? What are you communicating to your future employer? Okay. Next. This is the false thinking. It's called a false consensus effect, which distorts our thinking. You find that in most cases, you might think that you're well placed for the future because of your family, or you're biased still because of your family, whether it's rich or poor. My peers have connections. I have a perfect CGPA and a good degree. A good degree, you might think of a first class, second, upper, and you think that a lower is bad. I've seen guys with a lower and a past degree who have made it in life. So what I'm saying here is where you are, if you're in 3rd year or 4th year, you know, you can predict your final grade, but it's not the end of the world. The thinking has to start now, where you project and say, if I do a line of best fit, I might fall under this CGPA. Start preparing yourself. The things that we are going to discuss are forward. And this is where the reality sets in, where you appreciate that you're not a first-class student, but you're not a failure. And whoever is first class isn't a success in the work environment. The parents know someone. Some other people think that because your parents know someone, then you have a ticket. Others think, I know the language. Others think they went to the renowned schools. Edmund, this is where we fall, where we think we know it, we are of the known tribe, and then we fall out. Let's go to the next. Let's open up our box. I called it the red box. Not because I'm aligned to anything, but it's the red box. There's so many boxes of different colors, and it so happens that your box is red. And in that room, someone does a random picking only to pluck it out. And it's your box because you know the color. How do you position yourself for the unknown? Have we ever taken trouble to know if you're an electrical engineer, what are those companies that can take you on? How about the civils? How about the mechanicals? Do we know what we presume to be unknown? Do we even take trouble to position ourselves? What shapes you? Is it yourself, or others will shape you? You have the rights, you have the controls to shape yourself, meaning you can define who you want to be, no matter the environment. We have people who have gone to the good schools with poor grades, came out with poor grades, while in an environment where people actually were scoring quadro A. So what happened? Your personality might be influenced by the environment, but it can't change who you are inside you. And that takes me to the values. Do we know our values? Do we know our intentions? And do we have purpose? After these sessions, take time to dive into these. I'll share this with Edmund. Just take time to write down your values, intentions, and purpose. We are not speaking to you, we are not training you. We are preparing you for the market outside the university. And the market outside there demands for value. You must come in with purpose and clear intentions. Your perception and reality intersect somewhere where your brand will be defined. How do you perceive the world? What is your perception out there? I like the guy who, the poet, Davidson. You relate the past, you relate the present. It doesn't mean Umeme is the best company. It doesn't mean Umeme doesn't have problems. But as you're still at university, how many senior managers, how many engineers have you interacted with at Umeme? With ideas, with recommendations. There are so many issues here that can be transformed into projects, final projects. So what is your perception and reality? The reality is out here. The perception is in your head. Just connect the two to get your brand. There's what we call the Myers Bridge. You're seeing that personality types key. In your free time, you can Google about the Myers Bridge test. What it does is it defines, you can do it on your own because it gives different scores. And finally, you know your personality. My personality as Isaac is ESTJ. I'm an ESTJ. I'm an extrovert. I sense, I'm a thinker, and I judge. And you can go further to check which jobs and professions your personality falls. So you might end up being in the wrong place actually, or realizing that, oh, I need to work on this personality. From my side, being judgmental, and I'm in leadership, I started working on myself. How do I understand other people work better? And this is the step I took. I started teaching myself the human mind, reading about the human mind. You don't need to go to class. You Google and read. Why are other people behaving the way they are behaving? Then I started appreciating why they are behaving the way they are behaving, because I want to manage them. So as an individual, jump into this Myers test. You'll get to know your personality. Don't fear being an introvert. Maybe that's where your market lies. And getting to know the market gives you a step to align your personality into the market. That's why I said, do we know what is in the market? When you go out to shop, do you have a shopping list? Or you just bump into the supermarket? That's how the job market is. The ATM you have in, or the Visa card or credit card, that is your degree. You're entering the supermarket. The supermarket, you have MTN, Umeme, Civil Aviation, all the companies with your ATM. What are you going to buy? Why are you buying it? And if you buy it, what are you going to use it for? So this is the red box. What is in your red box? Next. Next slide, Edmund. This pushes me into design thinking, which the previous presenter talked about. After knowing that you have a red box, after knowing that there is a market, how do you get into that process of branding yourself? Or even you have a brand already, but how do you rebrand? How do you tune it? For the engineers, electricals, you know, tuning is different. Mechanical engineers, tuning is different, basing on how you perceive it. And now we are tuning our personal brand. If you go and Google about design thinking, it will give you a different perspective of how to approach something you want to build up. I'll start, there are three cores. That is embracing, creating, and growing. I'll start with embracing. How different are you from others? You're doing the same course, chasing the same jobs, hanging out in the same places, but differently wired. What skills do you know? Can you think about diversifying? I'll talk about this in my story, how I picked it up. What identity, besides your name, and that nice name that you put on your Facebook, Twitter, and whatever, what identity? You write on your Facebook, smuggler, and everyone says, wow. For me, my nickname in school, I don't know whether Isaac has left, but they knew me as Sharp. Up to now, when I walk into Rotary, they will say, Rotarian Sharp. I have a history on it. I was an all-rounder in school. Played every game, and that's it. They nicknamed me Sharp. Creating. What is your audience? And is there value for your audience? The people who are looking up to you, what value do you place before them? Do you value your network? And do you even have a network? People were talking about networks. What is the value of that network? Are you still hanging out and only sticking to the guys that you studied with in high school? Maybe they are providing value. And you're undermining the guys who were in those schools. We call those schools. I'm a Woodonian. So when I say those schools, we know those schools in the village. But being a Woodonian doesn't give you a green ticket to undermine everyone. Do we consume good and relevant content? Do we have a reason to speak? Can you be called upon to say something to the class that is relevant? The previous speaker talked about communication skills. How are you training yourself to speak to people relevant content? I've been called on several occasions to talk to accountants guys with an ACCA, and at the end of it, they ask you, but you're an engineer. And all you say is, I got to know my audience. What suits my audience? So I had to align. Write something. Isaac talked about it. Articles, blogs. The politics is good. But if you still want to pave your way through, especially professionally, as an engineer or as a technical person, you can put that aside. Let them not be your enemies, by the way. It's a good stepping stone. It can take you somewhere, but protect yourself against any slippage from your professional conduct. The third one, growing. Don't form relationships, but grow them. You have different relationships. Even within your class, there are different groups. Grow them. It's not bad to drop friends. Drop them. Pick up new ones. I told Edmund, look into your phone and see how many people are there. When did they last call you? Personally, I have a habit at the end of the year of deleting people. I delete people from my phone, and because the contacts are kept in Google, I don't care, I'll get it, but I'll delete you from my phone. You've never called me, just call me when you have problems. You can even call by saying, oh, Tonzi Kiira. So I'm not there to remember you. If you don't add value to me, I'll drop you. So grow your relationships, but don't just think of forming them. How many people do you know versus how well you know them? You're bragging about studying with 1,000 students right from your nursery up to when you finish. How well do you know them? And vice versa. Do you really know them and their characters? Take time to do the Myers-Briggs test. And if you get to know your colleagues' personality, that's when you can start building a good relationship with your peers, because you will know that Isaac is judging. So-and-so is an extrovert. How do we deal with each other? Then you move forward. The world out there is not an isolated world. You need to work with people. You need to manage people. And people will manage you. When you come for interviews, at times we ask, how do you deal with a difficult boss? You come up with an idea, they trash it. You come up with another idea, they trash it. Are you going to resign? Some of us have resigned 3 times in our careers. Not because we are fired, but because of challenges. You want to move on to the next challenge. And that makes you strong. Reach out to people for advice and not favors. You're seeing the situation that is happening right now. Everyone is saying I'm vulnerable. We need something from the PM. So look for your mentors for advice, not that doesn't work. When I see you searching for advice and I give you an assignment and I really know that this assignment requires some facilitation, I'll facilitate you. There's no free lunch. You're giving me information, you're doing my work, and I need to pay you. Build your networks by checking your mentors. Do we even have mentors? Or we are so bright that we have a first class and we don't need any mentor. Engage with people outside your specialty. if you're an electrical engineer in the making, do you engage with the civils? I have a story here. My young brother, the one who follows me, is a civil engineer. We have 2 civil engineers in a family, an electrical engineer, a telecom engineer, a statistician, and an orthopedic surgeon, plus a designer. I wanted to be a civil engineer, but in our year, we ended up, the electrical grades were higher, and I was flipped into the electrical class. So I wanted to change after a few weeks, and I was told no, stick in there. So I had to tell this youngster, he was in Budo, and I told him, you know what, whether you like it or not, you will be the civil engineer. Right now, we have a consultancy for civil and electrical. He knows how to build a power line and to commission a transformer. He's a water engineer and a structures engineer, consulting with the Ministry of Water. He has trained me to set up a house. He has trained me how plumbing is done. He has trained me in so many things on the civil side. That's what it means. So even as, why am I telling you this? No one talked to us about these things. So the earlier you engage yourselves to understand other specialties, the better. The job that I got in ESCOM, where I was a systems engineer. Yes, thank you for that slide. Where I was a system engineer was more to, when we jumped into ESCOM, the electrical engineer was given a mechanical assignment. I was given a mechanical assignment, plumbing actually, where we call it a screen loss. You check the differential between the water coming into the machine at the intake against the water coming out at the tail race. And you determine the pressure in between to see whether the screens are choked. There's water icing, there are dead bodies. So when they come onto the machine gates at the intake, the machine chokes, meaning less water is coming in, so it's going to affect your generation capacity. But you must pick that differential signal for pressure for you to appreciate how is the machine picking up in terms of operation. Remember, group characteristic, all those things. And that is the project I was given. So I had to study what is plumbing. The civil engineers were thrown into generators and turbines. After that, I was thrown into pumps, dewatering pumps and governors, mechanical governors. So start preparing yourselves for those things. It's not about the degree that you come out with. Strategic thinking, let's go fast. With this one, I am talking about the circle. Focus on what you can control. What is your circle of control? That is, it is the smallest circle inside. What are those things that you can control? That you feel, if I do this, I'm in control. The next circle is influence. There are things that you can influence. You can't control them, but you can influence. And the last circle is the circle of concern. In other words, that one you say, it's okay, I know about it, I hear about it, there's nothing I can do about it, but you must know about it. The world you're going in requires all the three circles. How placed are you for the things that are happening in the country right now? How placed are you for the things that are happening in your profession? if you're a civil engineer, have you taken trouble to say, why is the northern bypass taking too long to be finished? Or you're going to say, Centers of Zibba. There's project management in that. There are lessons learned. There are design changes. Can you go and interact with the guys on the project for you to appreciate, even as you're still in school? Because some people after this talk will ask, but how do we get in there? Can't you volunteer? Some jobs are not advertised. You appear, actually, that is my brother's story. He volunteered in one of the companies, M&E, and he ended up being absorbed as an engineer. He volunteered at third year doing his industrial training. He went back during his holidays, working on projects, preparing tenders, being given maybe lunch and transport. Later on, they said, you know what, we can't advertise for this job. Let's take on this young man. And that's where he picked up experience. A few years down the road, he's a consultant, challenging the guys who employed him. They bid for the same jobs. So you might not wait for that advert, job advert, because it might not come. Volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. Power of networks, I talked about it. Go and join clubs, Rotary, join other clubs. There are so many people who can influence your life out there. Connecting the dots. That is Steve Jobs. There are so many dots around you. And you connect, you map them, and you connect them. If they are not connecting, we are all technical. You will ask yourself, is this the correct dot? Do I need to connect all the dots? Do I need the few? You must be able to do the permutation to know where you're going. Next. Standing out from the crowd. Why you and not others? When I was being interviewed for the ESCOM job, I got that job just after our final year exams, after they had marked our exams. That's Dr. Ugujo. Even before graduation. The MD of ESCOM came to Makerere and said, I need 2 electrical engineers and 2 mechanical engineers. Dr. Ugujo went in there, checked on the list, and he said, oh, out of the 72 guys, I have 12 of them who have done power systems, or what you call heavy current. The rest have done telecom. The guy said, okay, get me the 12. Can I see their grades? He drew a line and said, I want these 4 to be interviewed. They did the same for mechanical. But during the interview, I was the first in the interview to get in. And during the interview, one of the questions I was asked was, why should we take you and not the others? That is a question you can try to fiddle around. You've answered everything, and now they're telling you why you and not others. That's why this topic came up, personal branding. That is the point you market yourself. Ideally, they're asking you, what are your strengths and weaknesses for you to take up this job? Remember, we are fresh from school. We don't have any experience, but they're testing our attitude. How do we see the future if we enter into ESCOM? Do we even know ESCOM? But we had good grades. So the way I answered it was simple. I talked about my strength as an individual. I'm a critical thinker. I know at the dam there are civil, electrical, and mechanical systems. I embrace learning. I embrace team building. I embrace collaboration. Whatever I don't know now, I'll know it when I jump in there. And that was my strength. I had the ability to learn, and I was open to learning. What is your character? Values and principles. There are talents that you have, hidden talents that you're not talking about. There are skills that you have that you're not talking about. And that's what is leading you to the reputation. What is your reputation? How big is your network? Because the bigger your network, the bigger your reputation. Your network defines who you know, and your reputation defines who knows you. Hanyakumanyi, it's like a joke. But when you type in your name in Google and it's not bringing anything, you're in problems. You're in problems because they will say, who is this guy? And for me, when you give me a business card and you leave my office or we depart on the street, I'll just pull my phone and Google to know who am I dealing with. Continuously review and improve your brand. Next. Be authentic. This is one of the last slides. Be authentic on your way into the marketplace. Be yourself, because everyone else is taken. That was Oscar. It's a quote. Everyone is taken. So be yourself. Know what you want and try to be clear. There's some people you ask, you're in first year, you're in second year, and you can't foresee whether you want to be a power engineer or a telecom engineer. And you say, tunalabire. No. Personally, by second year, I was thinking of being a telecom engineer. Then we started, by third year specializing, we formed a group of 12 guys. And we said, you know what? Let's cross to power engineering. And everyone looked at us. MTN was just maybe 1 year in Uganda. And we said, yeah. Everyone said, tugenda kulinnya miti, meaning we are going to climb poles. That's where I am now. We've jumped from job to job, but recommending our 12 colleagues. 6 of them, I'm with them in Umeme, and I'm their boss. But they are my colleagues. So the reason as to why I'm telling you this is, know what you want and be clear from the onset. Project into the future. What does it hold in terms of skills? Map yourself into the marketplace. I talked about it, having a shopping list. What are those companies that you think you can be better placed? You won't say, if I don't go to Umeme, I'll go to MTN or Computer Point. Those are different markets. If you're to come to Umeme, think about UATCL, think about UADCL, think about ERA. That is a segment. Then go to the telecoms. That is a segment. How do you fit? I won't repeat the soft skills and the future skills enhancement. That is the 4IR, which was talked about yesterday by the first presenter. Let's jump to the last one. Next slide. Yeah, my journey. I did PCMTD from Mango. I ended up being an electrical engineer, and I specialized in power systems. I'm a protectionist engineer, substation designer up to 132, and lines. Then I dived into that is a power generation, where I got a hands-on experience. It's unfortunate that we come out from university when we are told this is a transformer and you can only draw it on paper. There are opportunities here in Umeme. You don't need to be a trainee. But if you come and talk to me and you say, I want to know power systems practically, I'll get a team that goes to substations and I say, next week, Thursday, take this engineer to the substation to see practically what is this thing that we're talking about. So don't wait for the big bang of engineer Dr. Dorothy organizing a team from Makerere. They are coming to visit Umeme. You come in putting on nice clothes. No, come with your safety boots to Isaac. My office is free and we'll take you to the substation. I can drive you personally. I've interacted with Edison. That's how I operate. So that is the experience I got from ESCOM. I'm getting feedback. Connecting the dots, I went into project management. I first did a course at Makerere, that is a diploma in project planning and management. That initiated me into the project management space. That much as I was doing projects at ESCOM, I wasn't systematic. What Isaac talked about, don't dive so much into, let me get a second degree, third degree, fourth degree. It's good, but get more certifications. I decided to jump into Prince 2, PMP, and personal reading. Create a library for yourself. Edmund, I showed you the library. As you're still at university, go to your computer and create folders. That is the personal library. And put in whatever. You don't have to read it. Just put it in there. One day you will require it. Where I am right now, I can scroll through and I say, now I need this book, ebook, and the books are there. For the lockdown, use this opportunity to download whatever nonsense that might help you in the future. I'm calling it nonsense because you don't know when it will make sense. Personal reading, I read a lot and I can read anything, anything. I'm not a good student at sitting exams. I just read. I read anything. Exams, sorry. I started my master's, MBA. I did it halfway. Why? I was spending £700 per paper and there were 9 papers. So I just did a few that I wanted and I jumped out of class. I got a colleague who was a lecturer, an OB, Bodonian, and he took me through the chapters that I wanted for the other courses. The world will appreciate your papers, but whatever you're going to be doing in future might not be aligned to what actually you studied. It might go to the soft skills, it might go to collaboration, it might go to how inquisitive are you into the unknown space. So that has pushed me where I am right now. I worked with KCCA as an operations manager. I resigned from Umeme, went to KCCA to jump into an operations space. I had never done operations. Getting in there, traffic management, designing traffic signals, I jumped into a space that I didn't know, but I was there for 5 years. And I left systems in place. You are engineers, go back and embrace systems engineering. Go back and embrace process engineering. The things that you're learning, Nyquist for the power system guys, board plots, those things are there. Fast Fouriers. In ESCOM, we were doing fast Fourier and Laplace on governor systems for turbines. Those things are there. And when you come to the field, you will find them. You won't say, we left those at Makerere. Then I jumped into the leadership role, where currently I'm a senior executive in the senior management team for Umeme. And a member of various networks. PSA is a Power Institute of Eastern and South African States. The secretariat is in South Africa, but I'm a member on the electrification group for Africa. I'm a UIP member and a registered engineer. I'm a consultant. I do personal consultancies, especially on power systems. And I'm on the executive of the CEO Summit, which selects most CEOs in this country and also trains CEOs and senior executives in those positions. What I love most is I do mentorship to young leaders, especially engineers and project teams. Oh, last one. What is my brand? I'm a practical, knowledgeable, flexible, but approachable engineer. Anyone can come to my office by just texting me. And if I'm available, I'll give you space. And we talk. My guiding principle is simple. First of all, I'm good at learning, but I normally first unlearn. So always share what you know. Unlearn, relearn, then learn what you don't know. That is it from my side. I hope I presented according to your expectation. What I didn't tell you is I'm not a professor. I'm a simple engineer with 1 degree. What pushed me into being knowledgeable is because of my research drive, I go and get someone's thesis, a master's thesis or PhD, let's say in power systems or protection systems, and I read it. I read it as if I'm going to mark that person. Because they've put in more time to get that book, the graduates, PhD guys, masters, I get it for free because all I need in this world is knowledge. I don't need a paper. And in the interviews I've had, they've been references. You want someone to do this? Isaac. You want someone to do this? Isaac. No one has ever asked me why I don't have an MSc, but I normally ask people, what do you want to know? Or when I'm interviewing you, I'll say, during your master's, I understand you went through this and this, isn't it? Say, yeah. And you say, can you practically take me through it? So don't bother. If you can't go for a master's, it's not the end of the world. Get the thesis of the field that you want. It's there on Google. Read it. If you have that job, practice and demonstrate what you've read. Then you'll be knowledgeable. We employ people for the value they bring to the marketplace, not the papers they bring to the marketplace. Let me just repeat this. I've interviewed first-class guys who are too good at entry, and after 1 year, they can't give me value. And I've interviewed guys with lower degrees, not a master's degree, who have turned things around because they know what they know that they missed at the university. I thank you. That's the end of my submission. I welcome any questions if there are. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Engineer. I want the audience to join hands with me as we appreciate Engineer because he has really shared a lot. He has mentored us. Me personally, I was relating totally because I'm also doing electrical engineering. Him talking about the board plots, those are things we do in class, and him telling us that they are applied in the field. This is really mental. This is really mentoring. We really appreciate everything you have done for us, Engineer, because you have done it all. You have actually exceeded our expectations. From the thank yous I'm seeing in the chat, it really shows that you have really done it all. So moving on to the Q&As, we shall have some Q&As. I'll be reading some of them that are in the chats, and I'll be sending it back to you, Engineer, to reply to those. Well, as people are still texting and sending in some submissions in the chat, this presentation has really been good and has gotten us wondering and asking ourselves questions. Very many questions. I could read out some of them that I've noted, which has made us think and ask ourselves, what does someone see when they add your name into Google? What do people see when they add your name into Google? Do you know what you want? You have also given us very important pointers that we find when we face panels. We are very grateful for that, Engineer. I'm already seeing questions already coming in.
Can I answer Bernard or ECJ?
Yes, Engineer.
ECJ is asking, as a student, how can one be able to know or identify the key challenges that are being faced by some companies, say Umeme, so as to design projects that can address them? Bernard, and to everyone on this call, what I can say is jump out from your comfort zone. You won't know what Umeme's challenges are, not until you leave your comfortable seat in the campus and come to Umeme. Can I repeat that? Come out from your comfort zone and visit those companies. There are people who get jobs by knocking the door and they say, hello, I'm Isaac Serwadda. I'm a third-year student, Makerere. I'm looking for a project to do. However, I believe Umeme is a good company where an opportunity, a challenge can be got. And here I am. May I know what your technical challenges are that I can get a project out of it? So knock that door. Things are not advertised. And as you're doing that, why do we go to advertise when we have 5 guys who have been doing projects with planning or even data analysis with planning? We rather tell those people, please put in your applications officially and we take you on. The cost of advertising is too high. I hope, Bernard, I've answered you in that regard.
Thank you so much, Engineer. There is a question from Atwine Dennis. He asks, when should one start to specialize in a certain field?
Okay. When you leave a second year to third year, that's when, right now, I don't know which course units are core and which ones are essential. But for my side, I didn't do electromagnetism. It wasn't core. For us, all we were chasing were credit units. How many credit units do I have for graduation? Period. So whatever came in, I had to read about EM fields while at ESCOM, computer systems. So as you're transiting from second year, that's when you need to see yourself. You might take a gamble to say, let me do both light current and heavy current. But by the time you select your final year project, you must be sure. There are guys who come to the power sector and you're interviewing them. He wants a job in Umeme, but he's showing you a project of, what is that? Transistor, something terrestrial. And you're like, okay. It's not related to Umeme. So you know that if I take up that person, within a few months or 1 year, basing on what they did in terms of course units, what they did at 4th year, and you can predict their passion, they will exit the company. They will resign, or they will be chasing for a job in telecom. So we look at all those things and we say, let us see which course units this person did. How about his final year project? Then you say, oh, this is a power systems engineer. Maybe we need to work on this person. But it's best to start working with you now. As Umeme, we are working on a program, an apprenticeship program, where we want to join with institutions of learning, higher education, to see how we can pick students at 2nd year, 3rd year, and 4th year. And we build them, we come along with them within the field. I hope that will be a good program, but if it's late, at least it's not late to come and say hello, and we introduce you to the guys who are working here. Then you can learn how they plant a pole, how to get dirty. I climbed the poles, I got dirty, I pulled cables. I'm one of the engineers who did all the dirty work. So whether you Google or you call anyone who knows anyone, I've done something for the power sector and for my country. Next question.
Thank you, Engineer. Quinto is asking whether there is an opportunity for internship after lockdown.
Currently, we are not taking our people. We are in a process of restructuring. Our concession is about to end. It's a 10-year concession. It's about to end, so we are getting into a restructuring process. However, internship is normally there. But like I said, if you want knowledge, look for knowledge. Look for knowledge. Don't look for that paper of, I did my internship in Umeme. For the knowledge, whether lockdown, we can train you. Whether after the lockdown and there is no internship call, we can train you. Personally, I can assign you someone.
Another question is coming in from Maureen. She's asking, where do we find your office that you sit in during work hours if we want to inquire from you? Because you told us you are a mentor and we are welcome to come to your office, sir.
My office is in Logogo. My number is 0772 645 075. So before you come, you make an appointment. Otherwise, it's open to knowledge and interaction.
Another question is coming in from Nsembe Davis. He's asking, what would be your advice for a telecommunications engineer as far as practical skills are concerned?
Volunteer. Look for companies which have projects that are running. Okay? Then go there. Don't ask for a job. go there to volunteer, to know how are they doing the fiber connections, how are they digging the pits. Problem is, when we get there, we wear this nice thing of I'm a graduate. At ESCOM, when we jumped in there, we were told, we're not giving you technicians. You dig the pit, you dig the trench, you build the trench with mortar, cement, and bricks. You plaster it, wait it to dry. That will be your cable trench. Let the cables terminate them and commission the unit. One person. And they told us, forget about Kampala. Now you are in Jinja, whether you are from Kampala. Yeah, it's time for the show. So Davis scanned through the companies that are doing practical works. Don't look for the nice MTNs, because the MTNs no longer do the jobs. The jobs are contracted out. So look for those companies that are contracted out and request for practical involvement to get the skill. The jobs are not advertised. Thank you.
Okay. Then this is a question coming in from people that are live streaming on YouTube. This is from Matovu. He says, how do we personally join your mentorship program if we want to do so? This guy does engineer.
They can go through Edmund. Edmund has a mentorship class. He will give you a brief at the end. And I have I've been scheduled for some talk, but it's the talk is to the people who have graduated, how they need to prepare themselves into the marketplace, or even when they're in the marketplace. And my analogy is, now forget about what you did in school. You've crossed the line. How do you battle yourself out? So in terms of mentorship, I kindly advise you to go through Edmund. It's a mentorship, I think, program where they've partnered with the CEO Summit, where I'm on the executive. And we present ourselves as voluntary mentors to them. Yeah, that's what I can say. But in case it's something that you really want to know practically, I'm open to assign you someone within Umeme, where I work, to be your mentor. Once in a while, you dive in here, we have a chat on what you've studied and how far you've gone. Within 15 minutes, you're gone. My problem or my approach, sorry that I refer so much to Edmund, is come to me with an alternative, with options, not with questions. Meaning, you've read, now you've come to a colleague to discuss. How as a colleague? So come to me and we have a chat, an engineering chat. I will assign you a mentor if they're available, engineers. Then I'll be checking on you, having a chat. Not with problems or questions, but with alternatives and possible solutions. What's your advice to someone who has passion in power systems, but is now doing a computer engineering course? It's never the end of the world. You can do computer systems and find yourself in a power generation. You might find yourself in ESCO or UGCL, and you dive into systems engineering, where we have SCADA. SCADA is I don't know whether you are aware of this word SCADA. Supervisory control and data acquisition. It uses net masking, subnet masking. So basically, whatever you do as CCNA, you will find it in SCADA. And SCADA is you pick a signal, let's say breaker open, breaker closed, and you translate through different relays and transducers to turn the signal from analog to digital, meaning ones and zeros, and then you translate to a computer. So you can send a signal from the computer to say breaker open or breaker closed. That's where computer systems comes in. So you don't necessarily have to be a systems engineer, a power systems engineer, but you can find your way into a power station and you get into control systems engineering for controlling the power system. What is your say about agricultural engineering? Agricultural engineering is more like a mechanical engineering. It's just a specialty that you say agricultural engineering, but it's basically mechanical engineering. I don't know whether it's still the same, where first year, second year, you share the same class, but I believe if you're good at your mechanical engineering, or if you're good at your agricultural engineering, you might end up being into even the oil and gas. Master your fluid mechanics, okay? Master your thermodynamics, and you'll get there. Basically, those are the things, thermodynamics and fluid. Then you'll get there. And your TD, you must be able to design systems. What are the expectations that a woman who is interested in power have? You should tell me, Mariam. There is no woman or man when we start talking about engineering. The engineers I have in my team, I tell them, sorry, I don't want to see you in those skirts. We are men. And the skirts can change our thinking. So I'll tell them, put on your jeans. If it's climbing up the pole, you will climb up like a man. If it's digging the pit, you dig it as a man. Why am I saying this, Miriam? Is the day you are a manager, you'll be handling both men and women. And if you have never climbed up that pole, if you've never dug that pit, thinking you are a woman, because you are putting on your skirt as people were working, then you can not better manage those people when one day you become their supervisor or manager. How best can we, Atwine Dennis, what is your question? How best can we social network? From groups, there's LinkedIn. Try to go to those, especially actually LinkedIn will sort you out because you know who can I connect with? People in Dubai, people in the US, people in South Africa, people in Canada, they are professionals. Connect with them. Look at what they are discussing. Pick up something. You might have an idea that might solve a problem. Let me give you a true story. I have a colleague called Lukongwa, Tony. He was doing agricultural engineering, and in his third year, he came up with a design for something on the plane, an aeroplane. This is a guy we studied with at Mengo, HSC, and for him, term 2 and term 3, especially term 3, he was doing D operators. He was doing engineering math for first year, but in HSC. Not knowing that actually, this guy was a futuristic thinker. So Tony, in his third year, agricultural engineering, designed something for a plane. And he went to the American embassy and presented it. Upon presenting it, he was asked so many questions that they gave him an appointment to call 2 engineers from Boeing to come and interview him. The engineers came in physically, not this Zoom, and they interviewed Tony. Tony presented the math He was good in cultural activities. He did all these things. And they invited him to the US for 3 months. He went in there. They were shocked at an African third-year student remodifying a plane, a Boeing plane. Right now, actually, he never came back. He just came back to say bye. Never finished his degree in Makerere. Right now, Tony is in. You can Google him. Or he's on Facebook, I think. Tony Lukongo. And he's one of the best guys in Boeing. So while you are at campus, there's so many things that you can do. Whether it's computer systems, you can write a code, just involve yourself, get to know what are the guys doing out there beyond the Ugandan boundaries. You might get a job even before you graduate.
Thank you so much, Engineer. I think you have actually answered the question that I was about to read out. I think you have answered it in the last part. I want to join hands with everyone in the audience to, in a special way, thank you for the presentation that you have given to us. We have really learned a lot. We have gotten extremely soaked. This juncture, allow me to invite my co-host, Edmund, to give the closing remarks. And as he does that, we shall move on to a session called the One Thing session. So yeah, Edmund, as you take us through that session.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Engineer Serwadda Isaac, for really this in-depth presentation. Putting in your heart, your soul, sharing with us all this vital information from the field concerning how you people even take on recruitment, concerning different things that we perceive ideally for the job market, but then the reality being different. I am part of all these. I believe me plus everyone here has actually gotten to learn quite a lot. People have gotten to ask questions, have gotten to really get that bit of career guidance concerning courses they're doing, concerning different directions they see, and concerning even where they deem to see themselves after university. Best of all, you have shared in from your story, and even different aspects we need to look into beyond the degree, because most times we look at the degree as our main ticket to actually excelling, yet there are actually different soft skills we need to learn, the different tools we can use like LinkedIn, the different tactics we can use like even volunteering at different organizations and companies to learn how best we can be of value to them. And in line with what you have shared, we're going to share all the PowerPoint presentations alongside the links to the YouTube recording. Currently we're running live on YouTube. So we're going to share both the links for both days alongside the presentations to everyone who has registered via the Google form, via the certificate link. I've just pasted the certificate link for today's session, and it's going to be running for exactly 5 minutes. So we're going to be closing it at exactly, you could say 12:38. So you can be able to check the chat right now and just click on the form, feed in your name, your email address, and basically also your comment on how you found the sessions. And we'll use that to send in your certificate next week on Friday. Thank you all for attending. I believe we really learned a lot. I believe we have really been impacted. I'd also like to thank the team, the MES team that has been spearheading and driving all this. What happened with the lockdown, we had really stipulated most of these plans. So we just decided to go on with the new trend of running online, since we can't physically meet, but then still we can be able to execute the programs online virtually. And we're able to get 448 students registered for this event. And additionally, with the current incubation that's running, we got around 200 students registering, and currently there's a cohort running for 60 students, of which the work they're doing is more within projects, innovation. There's a lot to do with mentorship. It's being spearheaded by Norway. our projects led. As you can see on the screen, that's the MES committee team. For those who maybe have any inquiries, this is the team that has been organizing, doing most of the deliberations and preparations to have this event come out well. Yes, this is basically the team. So this, I must say, is a starting point to even greater engagements. And for those interested in reaching out to Engineer Serwadda Isaac, I just sent in my email and contact. You can be able to reach me there, or even through the executive committee. You can be able to contact us. Feel free to follow us on social media. We have the Twitter handle running. We have the Instagram page. We have an email address. In case of any inquiries, you can send an email right there. And then we also have the YouTube channel, which is where we're actually live streaming, this whole event from. For the certificate link, I have pasted it in the chat. For those who are still inquiring, I see some inquiries, it's in the chat. And then for those interested in reaching out to Engineer Isaac Serwadda, you can be able to reach out to an executive team member and they get in touch with me, or you can reach out via those contacts down. There's Derek's contact and my contact there. For the certificates, even if you registered yesterday, it's okay, don't need to register today. We're going to get both lists and then we're going to send the lists without any duplicates. So if you registered yesterday, it's okay. If today is your first time, you can still register there. So that's the bit of my communication. But then I'd also like to thank the administration for the support through this. They're the ones that enabled us have this Zoom account, to able to run this session online and also have it on live stream, and also generally the support in organizing this program. Yes, please.
I can feel free to share my email address.
Okay. Perfect.
It's isaac.serwadda@gmail.com.
Great. All right, great. So that's his email address for those who wish to reach out.
That is personal. Umeme, it's at umeme.co.ug.
Okay. All right. Great. So that's the email address. We hope you've noted. And in case of anything, feel free to reach out to any of the executive members. And yeah, we thank you for the attendance and wish you all a good afternoon. We hope you're keeping safe. It's really a tough time of the pandemic, but let's keep safe. So I pass the ball back to you, Derek, to officially close this session. Derek Matovu can officially close.
Yeah, thank you so much, Edmund. We have really had a blast throughout both the sessions. The MES webinar edition was supposed to be a series of sessions, that is 2 sessions, and this is our concluding session. We are so happy. We thank our presenters, our guests, that's the engineers that have presented today, and also the engineers that presented yesterday. You have really mentored us, and I believe that we have really touched every bit that we need to touch on how to brand yourself and become an outstanding engineer in the future. As we log off, there is this session that I wanted us to do where you could just type out in the chat and give our one-word opinion about something that you have learned within the session as we go off. Right here.
And maybe something to add, something small, Derek. Could
Yes.
we maybe do like a group picture? If people could unmute briefly and we just take a short pic.
Okay, that is a really great idea. Those that are still on, please, you can open your videos if you can, so that you can do a group picture just for memory.
Yes. Derek, first stop sharing screen, then I get the full view shortly.
Okay.
Right. Great. Perfect. So nice. Great. So perfect. The first page is getting full. Just 2 people left. Yes, and 1 person. left on the first page. All right, great. So taking the first one now. Okay. Okay, that's the first page. Then I'm moving on to the second one. Okay, I'm seeing the second one. Right. And then finally, all right, great. And finally, the last one, just to okay, just more. I'm now getting on the fourth, and finally the last one, which is the fifth. All right, great. Thank you very much, Derek. That's all. I've taken the pictures.
All right, thank you so much for being with us. We do hope to have you more for other sessions we organize that are of the same nature. Thank you so much for being with us. I officially now close the session.